Hello, what is up YouTube? It's Brutal Chaos. Welcome back to my channel, guys. Today we're going to be continuing Adeptus Custodes, the Golden Boys. This is going to be part 2 of this. There's what, 54 minutes of it? Yeah, we'll go ahead and finish this one out. So this will be part 2 of 2. Guys, keep being freaking awesome. Like I said, sorry it took me a while to get back to some of this stuff. But like I said, patience will always pay off because I will always check out some of the old stuff. Like I said, E3's been going on, so there's a lot of game stuff, so I couldn't pass up checking out some of that. I'm a big time gamer, so thank you guys that do watch my stuff, that watch AFL and Warhammer. I do madly appreciate it. So I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna switch over. If you enjoy the content, make sure you hit that red button, subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you here. Thank you for smashing the like button, and thank you for leaving your comments. Like I said, more is to come, so let's do this.
He's back alive now, right? I think we discussed that.
Talk about Gilliman.
Hey, I guess.
He's okay. Gilliman's all right. If you have to appreciate anything about the Ultramarines, you can appreciate Gilliman. Okay. He's actually kind of Chad. But everyone has their favorite Primarch. Most of the time it isn't Gilliman, but Gilliman is like 5th edition D&D, man. Like, everyone has their favorite edition, but if everyone's like, well, what about 5th edition? It's like, oh yeah, 5th edition is great. Not my favorite, but you know, I play 5e. 5e is wonderful.
It's fun. It's all right.
So after that happened, when the Fall of Acadia died, that big like zipper, the Eye of Terror, that the zipper into the fucking warp space, that just like cracked and zapped and just absolutely like opened a huge rift across the world, and then everything went to shit, right? Because this is actually a rather recent in the Warhammer timeline, but the Imperium was on the back foot, like they were hanging by a thread because all this warp space just snap, crackle, popped into everything. Chaos is everywhere, and because of that, the actual Terra itself was under huge warp storms and warp fire, and all of this fuckery was happening on Terra itself. And so the Custodians were tasked with putting down like doomsday cults and like gigantic riots, and people just driven mad. Custodian wardens, which are these fancy custodians that protect like terrifying secrets in the vaults of Terra, they were spending their whole time stopping the horrifying monstrosities inside of it from getting out. And then a gigantic Khorne demon like barrage eventually arrived. They tore into real space with like 8 bloodthirsters, which are like the big fucking dudes with the big axes. Just like all went onto Terra and started murdering the shit out of people. And so Gilliman, Trajan Valoris, Sisters of Silence, the Custodians, the Ultramarines, they all got together and they put down the rebellion. They put down the rebellions, they put down the demons after a long fought battle. But a lot of Custodians, like alive during the heresy, died during this fight. Dang. And at that point, the Custodians were like, war from within right here is not enough. No. We need to start taking preventative.
There's only 10,000 of them, but like, I mean, they're so OP.
For us to go out and deal with problems that might have an issue with Terra. Because what if the Custodians went out to help stop the Black Crusade of Abaddon and destroy Cadia? Could these other Custodians still be alive? Like
that is true. I mean, you never know. There's like, it's always cool to like question certain things, like what if this happened instead of this? It's cool, like a spin-off.
That's too close, man. 8 bloodthirsters on Terra, that's too close.
Yeah.
So working with Gilliman and the Ultramarines, they were now renamed to the Adeptus Custodes, as they are now an active fighting force going on in the world. And that's kind of where we're at right now. And now the Custodians are going out and dealing with problems both within and the forces without. And so they can they're out fighting off orcs, chaos, all kinds of different threats, anything that could possibly threaten the safety of the Emperor and the Imperium.
How, but like before all of that crazy chaos nonsense, how normal was it
it's always
for
been
a
chaotic
custodian to actually die? It
was rare as hell. It was super fucking rare. Like they fought a gigantic orc Wa one time with this dark, it's black skinned orc, or he had really gray skin or something. I don't know. It wasn't green. That was the point. And they sent 1,000 custodians, which is the most you've ever seen custodians at one time. It was against this orc Wa. 1,000.
Yeah, when you only have 10,000, it never exceeds. That's a good chunk of your custodians.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And they're so powerful, though.
Yeah, and they killed
so
like
hard
I
to
think
make.
200,000 orcs.
Oh.
And then the orcs retreated and they lost 3.
Wow.
3. All he lost was 3 golden boys. I don't know how many. How many? What did he say? Hold on.
Like,
it was rare as hell. It was.
Yeah.
I know they killed
super
100,000
fucking rare.
orcs.
Like they fought a gigantic orc wah one time with this like dark, like it's like black skinned orc, or he had like really like gray skin or something. I don't know. It wasn't green. That was the point. And they sent like 1,000 custodians, which is the most.
1,000. So 1,000 versus 100,000, and they lost 3. Jesus.
You've ever seen custodians at one time was against this orc wah. 1,000.
Yeah, when you only have 10,000, it never exceeds. That's a good chunk of your custodians.
Yeah, and they killed like I think 200,000 orcs.
200,000.
And then the orcs retreated, and they lost 3.
Wow, that's you fought a Y and you only lost 3.
Well, it wasn't just them. There were many other like Marines and stuff there.
Yeah, sure.
They came to reinforce.
This is one of the reasons they call them the Emperor's most loyal servants. I mean, right there. I mean, they're amazing. Let's just put it that way.
And
okay, got you.
But
it's
yeah,
fantastic.
I mean, like custodians are one of the few factions in Warhammer where them being able to kill a laughable amount of things is kind of acceptable, because there's a lot of things that the custodians do. The blood games. I mentioned that a bit ago. The custodians have this thing called the blood games, where half of the fighting force attempts to make their way to the Golden Throne and kill the Emperor. Not actually kill him, but
yeah. Like it's a training exercise.
Yeah, exactly. It's a training exercise, and so there's the defenders and the attackers, and
keep their skills on point.
That helps them find ways to create secret passageways and shore up their defenses and all that kind of stuff. But
right.
also,
I vaguely remember you mentioning that in one of the Horus Heresy episodes, or maybe it was the Sisters episode.
Let me know if there's ever an animation of the blood games. Like, it'd be cool to see someone animate that. That'd be freaking awesome in a movie, especially like CGI. Oh my god, that'd be freaking insane.
But I vaguely remember that being brought up.
Those.
Yeah,
I think it was the Sisters episode because they led them through like secret passageways.
Right. And then the Emperor was like, oh, or what's her face was told the truth, or she figured out the truth because she got an audience with the Emperor or something.
Yeah, Mrs. Alicia Dominica.
Alicia Dominica.
What are my favorite? Actually, my favorite characters.
Bricky's Warhammer waifu. Got it.
Yes, sir. Well, she's dead now, but yes, sir. Saint Dominica, actually now.
Saint Dominica.
Pardon me.
Patron saint of the Ebon Chalice. I'm a nerd. I know it.
It's okay. That's why we're here.
I know. It's to create more nerds.
Exactly.
But the blood games in particular, that's like one of their main training exercises. But there's actually a stratagem, which
really
is like an ability you can use in the tabletop, called Victor of the Blood Games. And it's the idea that somebody, I think Trajan Valoris, the big boy guy, he is the only person to ever successfully win 2 blood games. Only 2.
It's still a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's a very big deal, and it shows how just laughably strong he is and the custodians are, because they can do things like this. They have these blood games to constantly train themselves, and like if a custodian, they're constantly training, they're constantly making sure that their reflexes are like honed down. If a custodian has his reflexes diminished by like 1/100th of a second, he's retired. Like,
wow, really?
That's it. He is retired. He every weapon, every piece of armor, everything the custodians have and wear are sculpted and molded for their own personal use, for their hands. But when their reflexes, when their inability to think and move at a speed that is like godly, demigodly, if anything, because they are called the Brotherhood of Demigods.
Demigods, yeah.
Once it goes down, they're retired. They hand in their armor, they hand in their weapon, and instead they become the eyes of the Emperor. They don a large black cloak, and they leave on their own personal ship to go find and collect secrets of incoming issues for the Imperium. So they become like cool KGB spies.
Wow. So if there is any dip whatsoever in custodian performance, you're retired, become a super spy.
there is no leeway acceptable when it comes to saving the Emperor.
Well, I mean, I guess when it comes to the Emperor, he is the most important, and you gotta have the most fittest fighting force.
Oh, yeah, he needs the most gains, unless they have, of course, some kind of other.
I wonder what the percentage is of a custodian retiring. I feel like it's not a high percentage. It's very minimal because there's only 10,000 of them, and like they're practicing all the time. So I feel like it's not a big number, but. If y'all know any stats on that, you'll have to let me know.
Maybe like as like a general or something. They might stick around in that sense. But I mean, that's the thing, is that the custodians being there for so long, for a while, have been known to like kind of not have any emotion, be kind of like soulless automatons, because they don't start that way, but they've been standing still for 5,000 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you've been known to stand guard and not move and be just stalwart for decades at a time. I mean, how do you really become emotional? How do you not lose all emotional ties to everything except the job? Like,
I get that. Weird. The humanity's finest act the least human. It's a good little bit of irony there. I like it a lot.
They're just guard dogs.
Pretty much. Well, that's the space wolves. Sorry, those are the hounds. But the custodians, though, with that like power and stuff, I do think they definitely start losing a little bit of their humanity as time goes on. Not because of like their genetics or anything. It doesn't like turn them into robots, but more so the idea that they just slowly kind of don't do anything and they become numb.
Yeah,
they're still proficient fighting forces, but
they have to.
I mean, they're pretty cool, man. I mean, like some of their armor and their weapons, like they're clad in gold. They got like bright red robes and shit like that. They're really awesome. They obviously have a lot of like Roman. Is it Roman or Greek? Shit.
Oh boy, I don't know if I even want to comment, because I remember
one
time I was like, oh yeah, it's Roman, and it was Greek, and everybody was like, oh my god, how do you not know your history? It's like, I'm a dork, man. I haven't taken history in like more than 10 years.
Look like Spartans, so I'm gonna say Roman.
Hey, I'm getting a bunch of preteens telling me why I don't know Greek mythology after they just learned about it in 7th grade. Like, man, when you don't use it, you lose it. All I know is Hades.
Yeah, right? So
I
no comment.
I'm gonna say maybe possibly Roman.
Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, Ultramarines have the Roman heraldry. I'm not quite 100% sure. Oh wait, no, I'm stupid. They are Roman. Yeah, the custodians are Roman. They're like the legionaries. Because they have like the plume, and the ones that have like the giant tower shield and the gladius.
They look more
Roman, of course, because they have like dreadnoughts named like the Gladius tanks and Gladius dreadnoughts, and they also have.
I was not privy to that.
That looks freaking cool.
That's true.
Tell them all.
That's true. You got away from this. I'm the stupid man here. I get to be made fun of.
Thickest thick boy.
Again.
Again. You get to be actually again. Some of their weapons though are kind of cool. Like their main weapon is something called the Guardian Spear. It's this like power spear. It's this long spear with this giant like crackling.
Google Fi, a phone plan by Google. It's easy to switch to Fi from the comfort of
electricity blade that has a bolter attached to it. Like did you play Metal Gear Rising?
Yes.
No. Sam's like gun blade.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So their spear at the end, like the way back at the end of the spear is a trigger, and on the way front of the spear is basically a bolter and a blade attached to it. So it's a combination of like firing a bolter with a big stabby part at the end. And they also have a similar variation of that with axes called the Castellan axes that hit a lot harder, but they're like a little slower.
The lances are my favorite weapons that the custodians have.
Man,
things like that. They're actually like, I think Shai may have posted a picture in the Discord.
She did. They look. Those are those are dirty looking.
Dirty.
I know they're pretty crazy because they can do that thing where they'll do a swipe and kill someone, but like on their way down the swipe, they'll fire their bolter at an enemy behind the person they killed, and like custodians have been known to 1v3, 1v4 Chaos Space Marines, and which is like 1v3 in Chaos Space Marines is a fucking feat. Even for a custodian, that's a feat, but it's possible. They truly are that strong, which is why on the tabletop, like one Space Marine, an Intercessor, for instance, is like 20 points. A Custodian is like 50.
Wow.
Like they are.
I guess that makes sense. Sure.
Yeah.
It should be.
If like, yeah, they should be that expensive.
Yeah.
They're
are they particularly hard to kill on the tabletop?
Oh my fucking god. They are laughably hard to kill. Okay, so Custodians as an entire army, they hit on 2s, which is the best possible ballistic and weapon skill you can in the entire game. The only time they'll miss is if they roll 1s. Whereas Marines are on.
Yeah, you gotta take out freaking the Velisca. I think that's what it's called. I can't freaking. They're the Vex. I forgot how you spell it. Whatever, but you gotta take out stuff fast and be smart.
3s and guards.
And to do that. And you gotta freaking deep strike them.
On 4s. And it's the entire army that does that.
They
have the best armor save in the whole game, which is 2s.
Beat the crap out of you.
They all have like a force field, which is a 4 in case you get to the 2. So even if you
don't try to melee a Custodian because they will fist you.
Fire like a missile at them, they can still shrug it off. They're tougher and stronger than Marines.
Turn you into a pancake.
A Guardsman has 1 health, Marines have 2, Custodians have 3. Their Terminators have 4. They're okay. They are like, I wish I could truly explain how fucking impossible it is to kill these sons of bitches. Their goal in tabletop. Okay, so because they have so few models, there's this thing in the tabletop called objective secure. Long story short, let's say like you've got some Chaos Marines on an objective and I've got some Guardsmen on an objective. Mm-hmm. We have to figure out who has the objective, right? Sure. Basically, if you are using troops, like regular old rank and file troops, then the person who has that gets it instead of the other person, because it's like they're...
Especially them bikes, man. Them Dawn Eagle jet bikes, man. Those things are ridiculous. They can go over cover and stuff like that. Crazy.
Unit. Okay. It's to incentivize you to take more troops so you don't like run like an all-tank list or something. Mm-hmm. Custodians have that ability army-wide. So they can contest everything. And so when you're that tanky, you can't be shot off the fucking objective because you're just so tough.
Jeez.
It is insane. Like I wish I could truly explain how impossible it is to kill Custodians. They are probably the tankiest army in the entire game besides like Imperial Knights, but even then, Knights, you just like fire all your guns at one target and it'll eventually die. There's multiple targets. They're really hard to kill.
I'm also assuming Knights cost a shitload of points.
I love the Dark Angels.
Yeah, one Knight is like 500 points.
Ooh, look at them shields, man. They're
a squad
beautiful.
Of like 10 Custodians is the same. Therefore harder to kill, because if you fire it at Knight with like 6 damage weapons, it doesn't overkill to other Custodians. It would just annihilate one of them, and then that would be the end.
Whew. So do many people run Custodians then, or is it not a very popular thing?
Oh, they're pretty popular right now, actually. Okay. They're cheap. Because you only need so many models, like 20 something models, they're actually one of the cheapest armies in the game.
And they're super tanky and strong.
They're like an A-tier faction right now. They got a good buff because they were kind of bad for a bit, but they are a lot better now because the game is a lot more about objective holding. But they're really tanky. They're really good at what they do. Their damage in shooting isn't that great, but their melee damage is pretty phenomenal. The idea of the Custodian army is the on tabletop style is the single strike. Like a Custodian is all about that single swing, right? That one decapitating strike. And that's kind of how it is in the table. Like turn 1, you're moving very slow. You're not going to get very far. You got to weather in a whole lot of damage. But by turn 2 or turn 3, the entire game will flip on its head. Your opponent will have a bunch of stuff, but you finally arrived. Your Terminators have come out of the sky. Your bikes have finally reached the back line. And at that point, a whole bunch of their army will die. You'll take over their objectives, and they can't kill you.
Yeah, there's no shooting you off the objective once you're on there.
Yeah, that's what makes it damn difficult to take these bastards out. But
how many points do you usually get for an army? I know it differs. There are different army sizes, right? I know there's there's 2,000 point armies, there's 1,000 point armies. I know it kind of varies. But what's the
2,000 points is like the tournament official number. Like if you want to play like a normal regular game of 40k, 2,000
I'm
points.
learning my
is the number.
stuff.
Naturally, I never start with that. Those of you listening who haven't gotten into it yet, don't do that. You start with 500, and then you can turn it into 1,000, and then you go to 2,000.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately, 500 points of custodians is like literally
jet
7
bike.
models. Like, it's not even a joke. It's actually 7 models.
But still, that I was just like, man, an Imperial Knight being like 500 points. That's so much of your points.
Oh yeah, if you want to play knights in a competitive environment, you run like 4, or you run 3 and a couple like mini knights, which are like 150 each.
It's so many points.
Oh,
So I was like, man, I'd so much rather have just a bucket load of custodians than just like thump one.
They're
knight.
a fun army, dude. They're a little hard to play sometimes in the sense of like weathering the damage can be rather difficult. You gotta be really good at like hiding them or like maneuvering them. But you just let the tankiness do your work, man. You just like watch as everything that they do just bounces off of you. There's a particular character called the Unkillable Bike Captain, which is just insane. So they have these awesome bikes. Like they have these really cool like eagle jet bikes. And he's got this giant lance, like a joust. And what you can do with this dude is he has 7 wounds, which is 7 health, and you can make it 9. He's like toughness 6, which is really high. He still has this 2-up armor save, but then he has you can give him a relic that makes it so that he has a 3+ force field invul save instead of a 4. So his invulnerable will never go worse than a 3. But then you can give him that stratagem, Victor of the Blood Games, which lets him re-roll a single fail every single turn. So if you finally make him roll a 1, he can just re-roll it. And then, even if you still get damage him, you can give him this thing that gives him every time he takes a damage on a 5-up, it's ignored. He is so stupid, and because he has that objective thing, he can fly in the back line, like duke it out with your fucking knight, and then he has the objective during that period of time because he just doesn't care because he's fucking custodians.
So that's why they call him the Unkillable, huh?
Unkillable Jeff. But the goddamn Trajan Valoris is actually a runnable character as well. He's the only named character in the thing, and he is a monster.
As well, he should be from what we've heard about him today.
Absolutely, the custodians are a very fun army to play. Actually, I do want to talk a little bit about some of their shield hosts though before we. Man. We've been talking a lot about tabletop stuff because they are a very popular army, and I think they're getting more popular thanks to their price, and because they're surprisingly not that hard to paint. You know, they look like they have a shitload of detail, and they do, but they're bigger models, and they're just gold. So you just spray paint them gold.
Yeah, from the picture I saw that Shai posted, I was just like, you could probably get away with just getting like a metallic gold that you really liked. Just paint the whole damn thing, do the old Nuln Oil trick, and just bathe the thing in oil.
Nuln Oil is important.
You've got a pretty decent looking custodian.
The deed is done.
The deed is done. Little red for the plume, and you're done.
Yeah, get the capes going, and if they have capes, and then bam.
Yeah.
So actually, there's this cool thing. So similarly to how every faction has like a faction,
I like the axe too.
Like Cadian Guardsmen, Catachan Guardsmen, things like that. The custodians have the same thing. They have a thing called shield hosts and shield companies, because a lot of their stuff is about like shields. Like they're called custodian guard, and like their main guys are called like shield captains and stuff like that.
Sure.
But some of these guys, they're actually like sub factions, and they're pretty cool when you learn about them. Like this one right here is called the Shadow Keepers. They're the wardens of the dark cells. What they do is that I think it was Thor Ragnarok where they had like underneath Odin's area, he had a whole bunch of like horrifying things like locked away.
Yeah, in his little vault, sure.
Yeah, so this is the same thing. The Emperor has a whole bunch of like galaxy destroying fucking shit in his vault beneath beneath his golden throne. And this whole shield host, which is clad in like a black armor with gold highlights.
That's cool.
They spend the entire time sitting down there in a pitch dark room.
Oh my god.
Where no sound or light can escape, with these horrifying like creatures or artifacts or doomsday weapons or like chaos spawn, and they sit there for decades in pitch darkness waiting for problems, and their whole job is to like keep these things far, far away from anyone to ever know it. And in fact, sometimes chaos will be funny and they'll like take one. And when they do, then they'll like, oh fuck, and they'll go out on their ships to go find it and bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like the purpose of like the Shadow Keepers. There's the Aquilin Shield, which is my personal favorite. They're
I know
I pay my custodians like this. They have purple capes. And
okay.
I actually was gonna write a story. I wanted to write like a little short story or like a novel or like a screenplay or something about this.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are basically, they bear the responsibility to safeguard those that have usefulness to Terra. So what they'll happen is they're bodyguards, and they'll go out and they'll go find very specific people, a High Lord, a leader of like the Sisters, an Inquisitor, a general in the Imperial Guard, a specific Space Marine. Sometimes people that make no sense.
Yeah, I never heard of some of these dudes. I mean, I know there are a lot of bodyguards and stuff, but I didn't know the different like types of custodians, like all of them. I didn't know about the purple armored ones that sit underneath the throne. So that's cool.
Random civilian in like a random hive world, or a one single guardsman, and then just out of nowhere in a giant flash of golden light, like 5 of these demigods appear around that person, and without consent and without like a word really, they will simply be there to protect him against all evil and make sure that he survives, because however they know, whether due to some future shit or psychers or whatever, this person is pivotal in the safeguarding of the Imperium.
That sounds super sick.
It is.
Just boom appear, and it's like these cool gold guys with these sick purple capes.
That's when you better run.
I like the sound of that.
I wanted to do like
a flash of golden
those,
glory.
Shadow guards who are just like, yeah, we're stuck in the dark for a decade. That's such a bum deal.
I always think of like beers from Dragon Ball when they come in and teleport, but gold light.
Like, all of that talent's like, let's just sit in the dark for a decade. Great.
Yeah, but if one of those guys escapes, then
True,
Terra gets swallowed by Zinch or something.
Oh,
it's true.
It's like unspeakable eldritch horror, like cosmic deities and shit. Like It's like really bad. The Necronomicon, I don't fucking know.
You couldn't give him like a nightlight though or something? Like...
No, because light feeds the demons. I don't know, man.
Oh jeez.
I actually wanted to write a story about like a guardsman on the front lines. And he's like gonna get killed, and then just like out of a flash of golden light, like a fucking Quill and Shield guy comes in and like saves him. And they do like a BT,
like instant transmission,
and the guy from Titanfall 2 thing, where you have this random guardsman has to be followed around by this gigantic 9-foot tall demigod, and like all of his comrades are like, what the fuck? And he has to deal with this like, yeah man, I was gonna go have some food, and the custodian's like, what is food?
Just hanging out in the pub, there's this giant 9-foot tall gold-clad demigod that's just standing next to you as you're just like,
you should drink less alcohol, guardsman. It will not allow you to serve the emperor better in an inebriated state. It's gonna be like a sitcom.
That'll be the best sitcom.
Oh no, it's my wedding, and he's like standing there right next to him. This is the best. He has like a little tux on.
No, he's just got a bow tie on all his gold armor. There's just a bow tie.
A bow tie.
Need a freelancer? Go to Fiverr.com and find one in seconds. Or don't go to
He had a little red bow tie, that'd be funny.
Fiverr and waste your time searching for...
He's the best man.
Could you imagine a custodian with a little red bow tie? That'd be
Exactly.
Purple.
He saved me so many times. You gotta be my best man for the emperor.
It's like, I am the only, like, how can I be the best man when the best man is the emperor?
Yeah, it's just and then roll credits.
Right? They play like the funny sitcom music.
Yeah.
What other ones are there? There's a couple other ones, like there's the Dread Host, which is like a terrorist variant. They're all about like causing fear.
So many variants.
Like pinpoint strikes, like killing like major generals and stuff.
I didn't know
slaughter
there's so
like
many
a warlord
variants.
and watch them like run away. Like they'll go out and they'll like burn an enemy dude like alive and then like carry his body into their base. And they'll like butcher their fucking like families and shit. Like they're all about like back the fuck off, man. Like we ain't dealing with this.
I was gonna say seeing custodians is horrifying enough, and then you have ones dedicated to terrorism, and it's like, oh.
Conrad
fucking-
Kurz would really like this. They'd be stoked.
Fucking God, man. Custodians dedicated to terrorism makes me very. That's an uneasy feeling.
Yep.
Oh God, yeah. I know. Conrad Kurz, who was the Primarch of the Night Lords, who was like the most terroristy man of all time, probably was like, nice guys.
Nice. Good shit.
There's the Solar Watch as well. They safeguard everything in the Sol system, so Jupiter, Luna, etc.
Yeah.
That's their main thing. There's the Emissaries Imperatus, which I actually don't know what these guys are. I remember they have shitty rules, so I never looked too much at them. I think they're like safeguards of like knowledge and shit.
Oh, okay.
They're rather impressive. All the shield hosts have their own very like specific task and all. And what's nice is that you can kind of, not in game, but you can probably like make your own type of deal. You'd be like, I'm gonna make this new shield host for my new sitcom, and it'll be perfect.
He's so good.
Now you gotta write that story, dude.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
make that, Ricky.
I really do want to write. I have a lot of fucking 40K like screenplays I want to write. I have like
That
4
would be cool.
ideas.
Dude, I love the
video game I wanna
animations.
make. I got everything I want to do, man.
We have a platform now, right?
We do.
We got a platform for it, so.
I want to do a horror movie where like, oh, you don't know what an arcoflagellant is, do you?
Oh, it sounds awful. That sounds terrible.
Oh shit! Never mind. I won't talk about this then.
Okay.
No need.
He's like, no need.
But
we'll probably eventually get to it on the podcast at some point.
Possibly, hopefully. But
All right.
besides that, there actually isn't a whole lot else I need to talk about the Custodians with.
They're awesome.
I mean, they have very like
Man.
large amounts of very impressive battles, and like there's Constantine Valdor, which was like the major custodian guy during the heresy and the major guy during
They're
like
OP.
the
That's all you
Crusade
need
of
to
the
know.
Emperor. He was like the guy.
Mhm.
Kind of like how Sanguinius was the guy for the Blood
Okay,
Angel. Like,
yeah.
Constantine Valdor is probably one of the more, I don't know how to describe it, but he's like probably one of the biggest heroes ever.
Okay.
Of like the Imperium. He's probably like as far as you can consider, if you had to, besides the fact that I just went on about terrorism, if you had to choose like a good like the good guys of 40K, I think I would go with the Custodians, because a lot of them being alive since the heresy, they aren't like, they're not religiously corrupted. They're not zealots like all the other Imperium are, because they've just stayed to themselves. They just chilled.
Oh.
Yep.
And so they're not like, their job is one thing, safeguard the Emperor, because if you don't safeguard the Emperor, the Imperium and the humans as a
Everything's
race
dead.
die.
Collapse. Yep.
And so in a sense, they
Everything goes
probably
bye-bye.
are the nicest faction, but they also slaughter like Eldar children and hang their entrails from like
Oh my
pikes, because
God.
they're like, la-di-da-di-da, look at you, stupid Xenos. So I don't know, man.
They're as good as you can be in 40K,
Yeah.
right?
Them and
That's
the
a
salad.
40K.
I would say them and the salamanders.
You gotta be kind of a savage if you're gonna survive for any amount of time. So,
Good point.
they're as good as you can be in 40K. I like that. Yeah.
It works out the best it can. And also, I'm assuming you haven't watched the Emperor text-to-speech episodes much.
No, I haven't.
So the main idea is that the Captain General, the main guy, gave the Emperor his voice modulator, and now they're talking. But they have an ongoing meme where these other 3 shield captains look like the JoJo Pillarmen, and they play the theme song every time they arrive. They're like completely naked and stuff. But the idea is that the Custodians are like really, really, really gay, because they've done nothing but be like stuck with each other for 10,000 years, and so they've formed like a custodian brothel.
Oh wow.
And so they're all like, oh yeah, Shai's got the picture. Yeah, they're all they're all like really buff, oiled fucking men.
Oiled buff
Those are the
What?
pillar men. Yep.
quivering oiled abs.
It's pretty funny. It's the only JoJo reference that's actually good, and it's the only one that will ever be good. But
Oof. Wow.
honestly,
okay.
yeah, I know what I'm saying. But it's pretty great. It's very funny when you know about the custodians and you actually get a chance to watch the show. You're like, this is good. This is
Battle
good.
Tendency was pretty solid. I enjoy Battle Tendency a lot. So
The fuck is Battle Tendency?
it's where the fucking Pillarmen come from, you idiot.
Just say season 2.
It's not season 2. That's still part of season 1.
Oh,
It's season 1, part 2.
Oh, fuck
these guys are funny.
you.
It is.
I don't give a shit. And yeah, that
Season 2 is Stardust Crusaders.
Oh,
I thought that was part 3, season 3. Fuck that, man.
That's
Super
part
full.
3, but it's season 2.
Whatever. Listen, man. Listen, man.
Bricky loves it.
I got paid to watch all 5 of them, okay? Because they decided they did it, and you know what? Part 5 is objectively the best because it's really well made, but part 2 is so boring.
It is pretty bad, actually. But we're getting a little off topic. This isn't a JoJo podcast, right?
No, and if it ever does, I'm quitting.
You just turned it into one, man.
I was referencing the meme in text-to-speech. Okay, if I don't mention the Pillarmen in this episode, I'm going to get actually more.
Oh, fair,
and I don't want to get actually more. Okay,
yeah, man. I feel like that had to be noted because that's hilarious.
made my reference. I did my thing. DK, do you have any questions? Anything I can alleviate? Anything I can tell you about the custodians before I take us home?
I don't think so. I think any questions I had had brought up during the podcast, so I think we're good. Custodians sound like real badasses. I like the custodians.
They are.
Good.
Now,
I'm glad.
Yeah.
They are not only neat, but I would really recommend actually checking out some of their models too, because they do look very, very cool.
And they are schmexy.
All right.
Okay, let me take us away. Thank you to everyone who came here and watched the Adeptus Custodes episode of the Adeptus Ridiculus podcast.
It's a lot of Adeptus.
It's a lot of Adeptus. I am very. It's also, everyone says Adeptus Sororitas. It's Adepta Sororitas. If you want to talk about the Sisters of Battle, I'm actually you now. I'm actually you now. That's how it feels, fuckers.
Damn.
Thank you very much for watching. This was quite a fun one. I like this one. It was short, sweet, to the point.
Yeah, it was good, man. Sorry to cut them off there. They're going on with their credits. But, man, that's a good video. Very informative. Like I said, if you ain't seen part 1, it is on my channel as well. Like I said, I love learning about the custodians and the custodians, whatever you want to call it. But, man, yeah, that's really... They are OP, but they're awesome. So, guys, keep being bad A and keep being cool. And y'all stay cool out there because it is summertime. You guys stay awesome. More is to come. Thank you for being patient. See you soon.